Immerse in the profound wisdom of the Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, ancient verses, revered as a pinnacle of devotion and spiritual awareness. Under the guidance of His Holiness Swami Jyotirmayananda, plunge into the infinite ocean of this revered scripture. Discover its hidden truths. Embrace its transformative power. Awaken to new realms of divine love and spiritual awareness. The depths are calling. The deeper you dive, the more treasures you'll discover. And now, Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Vasudev Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. Adorations to the Divine Self in each other. The Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, Sutra number 71, focus is given on means or methods leading to Parabhakti, supreme devotion. The means that are adopted can be an integral part of the movement towards Parabhakti, or the means can be adopted for creating punya karmas. Punya karma means virtuous deeds. There is a big difference between the two. 71 Sutra, Sukrita Jattvat, Parahetu Bhavacha, Kriyasu, Shreyasah. These secondary acts of devotion are superior to other acts because they are helpful for attaining Parabhakti, and they originate from past virtuous actions. Let me explain the details. There are different limbs, subsidiary limbs of Parabhakti, which means they are all means. There are different types of sadhana leading to the ideal devotion. What are they? Kirtan. Everyone knows, singing the divine name. Bhajan, another aspect. Vrata, adopting certain vow. Vrata can be in a broader level. For example, you adopt the vow of non-violence, called Ahimsa Vrata. The vow of speaking the truth is another vow. Or you adopt a vow, I will fast for on a certain sacred day. That also is a vrata. Namaskara, bowing down to the deity in sacred places or wherever you have installed the deity. Jnana yajna, disseminating spiritual knowledge. Dhyana, practice of meditation. Puja, performing worship. Dan, charity. All these are different subsidiary means. Each of these can be practiced just for creating punya karmas. For example, you are a student and you want to pass examination. So, you sit down and repeat the mantra Om Ahim Saraswatyai Namah, or offer prayer. But your prayer is focused on passing the examination. At that time, you are not interested in attaining liberation or developing the supreme devotion. Therefore, each of these disciplines has its independent role. It serves your purpose. And at the same time, if you have developed a profounder understanding, your attention moves from sakamya to niskamya. Sakamya means you are practicing devotion for a certain purpose. The purpose is fulfilled. Then you become encouraged to go deeper into your relation with God. If you move in a deeper way, you are now directing your steps to supreme devotion, parabha. But it's for most people, when the purpose is fulfilled, then you stop the sadhana. Again, whenever that situation arises, someone is sick, you repeat the mantra, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtiva. Sickness is finished. Medicine is not given all the time. You use these sadhanas like medicines, or you can use them for attaining the highest. All this information is more on a theoretical level. You should not get confused. Am I practicing it in an inferior way or in a superior way? That is for you to understand. When you study the whole process, they have to understand each stage and what does it mean. But in practice, don't worry. Even if you have started your worship just for passing an examination, it's a wonderful thing. Or for helping someone, from healing some suffering, because your inclination towards these is a result of good karmas done in many lives. Sukritina, those who have been performer of good deeds, they tend to adopt these different methods. Therefore, by turning to these secondary means, you are creating punya karmas, you are creating virtuous deeds. Virtuous deeds will promote more prosperity, more happiness, and will put you into a situation where you tend to adopt a higher goal. Success leads to success. Succeeding in the physical world can suddenly direct your mind to highest success. And that happens, but as a result of your good deeds, you are drawn to satsanga, good association. And good association paves the way to developing profound devotion. So the Sutra says that all these originate from past virtuous karmas. And whether you are practicing secondary aspect or primary aspect, you are already backed up by blessings of many good karmas. So no matter how much you may be in confusion, simply go on with your worship, your puja, your japa, your sadhana. At the same time, you will have a sensitivity within you to understand that your goal is to develop love of God. When divine love develops, it is perpetual. Gaunam traividyamitarena stutyarthatvat sahacharyam. Secondary devotion is of three types: artha, artharthi, and jigyasu. They are mentioned together with jnana to glorify jnana or parabhakti. In this context, jnana term has been used for absolute devotion. Jnana literally means wisdom. The three types, artha means you turn to God in distress. Artharthi, you turn to God for material attainment. Jigyasu, you turn to God for profounder understanding. Let me go into deeper implications. Srimad Bhagavad Gita says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam Janaha Sukritino Arjuna Arto Jigyasu Artharthi Jnani Cha Bharatarshabha. Krishna says to Arjuna, people worship me in 4 ways. Artha, distress. Jigyasu, enquirer. Artharthi, desirous of wealth. And Jnani, one who has full knowledge. Different illustrations are given from the scriptures. Draupadi offered prayers to Lord Krishna. She was being dragged into the royal court and was being humiliated. At that time, Krishna created a magic. They were taking away all her clothes, and Krishna suddenly supplied new, unending saris, all different colors. The magic happened. The scriptures are filled with wonderful stories. Durvasa had come with Pandavas. That was a plan of Kaurava, the enemies, to send Durvasa a sage who is ready to curse. And they realized they cannot defeat the Pandavas by strength, valor. They thought out a very shrewd plan. They sent Durvasa with 16,000 disciples to receive hospitality from King Yudhishthir, who was in a forest. Draupadi, wife of the Pandavas, at that time, again she turned to Krishna. And suddenly Krishna seems to as if he had already planned to come there. But instead of giving her complete comfort, he said, "Oh, Draupadi, I have come from a very long distance. I am very hungry." She had a magic vessel. And the property of the vessel was that she could go on feeding people unendingly from the vessel. But once she ate, the vessel stopped giving. And that was a time which was selected by those Kauravas. And that was the time when Durvasa had come with so many people. That means she had already eaten, and that vessel cannot give any more. So Draupadi brings the vessel before Krishna. "Oh Krishna, it's all empty." Don't say so. I can't believe it. He takes hold of the pot, looks into it, digs his hand into it. He finds a grain of rice and a little leaf, little spinach. Puts into his mouth and immediately feels completely fulfilled. The sense of fulfillment he transmits to 16,000 people, hungry people. During this time, they were all sent to take bath and prepare. That was done by Yudhishthira so that he has some time to think of what to do. And when this happened, all those people taking bath suddenly felt that they had sumptuous dinner. They are belching and they all looked at Durvasa and said, "What should we do? We have to run before Bhima comes with his mace or with his big stick." All scattered away. This is Artha Bhakti. During distress, all these miracles happen. And God is ready to give you miraculous results. And then we have Artharthi Bhakta. the story of Dhruva. Dhruva had a stepbrother. The stepbrother was more favorite of the king because king had married a younger wife and that was the product. So Dhruva being the elder one and his mother was not in that state of recognition by the king. But when king came, Dhruva and Uttam, that's the brother, both began to sit on the lap of the king. Dhruva being child, he just didn't know what the politics were. In other words, politics was that Dhruva is not to be recognized as a king's favorite, the child of the younger wife, who was in the more prominent stage. So when Dhruva sat, the mother Uttam shouted out to him, "Get away." In order to sit in the lap of the father, you have to have special qualification. In brief, Dhruva felt insulted and received the advice of his mother. The mother just consoled him, saying that you can get anything if you were to turn your mind to God. Develop devotion. Right now, don't worry. But Dhruva took it very seriously. He practiced intense devotion. During that time, Narada assisted Dhruva. All this led Dhruva to have realization of God. God appeared before him. People who do Hatha Yoga exercises, they know Dhruva pose. You stand with one leg. All these are symbolic, you must realize. All this story is to be understood in a more allegorical way. Dhruva began his movement with the idea, let me approach God so that I can sit on the throne for attaining kingdom. But when God came, Dhruva had come to a state of parabhakti, supreme devotion. Kingdom meant nothing to him. However, God gave him the kingdom, which was just minor. That's the illustration of Artharthi Bhakta. In Bhagavad Purana, you have the illustration of Jigyasu, Uddhava, that developed interest in understanding Krishna in a very logical and intellectual way. And Krishna planned to bring his mind to that understanding, to enlighten his mind, and Krishna did. I'm not leading you to many other stories. From a broader point of view, Artha implies allowing your heart to move towards God. That's what we generally know as Bhakti Yoga. It is an exercise of feeling, how to develop love for God. And when you see inspiring objects, or when there is inspiring situations, your heart melts. Developing a melting heart is that artha. And that's the objective for every aspirant. In order to have enriched life, your bhavana, your feeling should not be shallow. Nothing enriches you more than having depth of feeling. And that should go on. Next point, using simpler language, you did it for the heart. Now do it for your hand. Hand implies resources that you must get in your life. But resources you need to get in order to come closer to God. Acts of charity, seva, worshipping God, serving God in humanity, different types of seva. All that require different materials. And you turn your mind to God to give you resources. even beginning with your own body. You have good health, good intellect. You should have congenial situations. That's the aspect of the hand. In Sanskrit, hand is called hasta. It comes from the term which means laughter, joy, hasana. If you are using your hand in the right way, there will be a lot of joyousness. But if you are doing it in a wrong way, you give charity with the left hand and take it away from the right, or put it other way around. Then your hands are not laughing. This is karma yoga. How to perform your actions, how to put your action in a way that it goes on purifying your heart. So, artha relates to the heart. Artharthi, going after resources, relates to the hand. Jignasu relates to the head. But if you are developing only one of the three, imagine how will you look. You will become a cartoon picture. But if you are developing all the three in a harmonious way, that's the idea. Then you are growing in the image of God. And that is called jnani, the integral yoga. This is simply presented, practice of karma, action, devotion, bhakti, the process of loving God, dhyana, meditation, and jnana, knowledge. Action, emotion, will and reason. These are four aspects that go to constitute your personality. They have to be all balanced in day-to-day life. That's the great art of spiritual sadhana. If that art has not been understood, then your sadhana is defective. Anything that you do as worship, kirtan, japa, everything has meaning. But if you do it with the plan of integral yoga, then you are enriching your life in a most profound way. And what is more miraculous is, it is not demonstrative. It is not, you can't exhibit it. If you practice something in a serious way, you can demonstrate to people. Look, I didn't eat from morning till evening. I have fasted for 10 days. I have been in the cave for so many hours. You can always be proud and tell people how much sadhana you have done. But if you are practicing integral yoga, there is nothing to be proud of. And yet, your advancement is steady and unique. That's the art of real spirituality. And that you can do no matter wherever you are. But you need to grasp that art, need to train your mind to follow it. It's the philosophy of the little good action, little meditation, little hatha yoga exercises, little satsanga, little delving deep. Don't make the little too prominent. But in a harmonious blend, just like in a very good feast, you have little of everything. You have little of pickle, little of sweet, little of this, and little of... All together becomes a wonderful, delicious process. So Chaturvidha bhajante mam, that's the meaning of the Gita's text. And sutras gives you the same understanding. The understanding that you could practice in a disbalanced manner. You can be more artha, only when there is distress you turn your mind, otherwise. Or you turn to God only because you want some resources. Or you turn to your mind to get some philosophical recognition, degrees from these colleges you have studied, the Upanishad, the Gita, or so forth. Or you can allow your personality to develop in a profound way. Two terms are used, that's important. Sukritino, tuskritino. Sukritino, sukriti means those who have done good karma. Tuskriti, those who have done negative karma. To be more insight, Tulsidas ji says, Kam krodha mada lobharat griha sakti dukharu te kimi janahi ragupati mood pare tamaku. Those who are afflicted by kama, perverted desires, krodha, anger, mada, pride, low, greed, these are vikaras, impurity. And they are selfish. They are constantly plunged in a world of misery. How can their mind enjoy the beauty of devotion? They are like frogs in a dark well. How can they understand the dazzling beauty of the day? So these people are called duskritina. They are constantly creating negative karma and allowing their mind to be constantly involved with malas, gross impurity. Sukritina is contrary to this. Think of the statement of satsangatve nihasangatvam. Sukritina is those who come into good association. They take up the project of removing malas, gross impurity. They take up the project of removing subtler impurities, vasanas. The project starts with satsanga, satsangatve nihasangatvam. The more you become involved in good association, greater is your detachment from the world of illusion. As you become increasingly detached, nirmohatvam, your mind is not swayed by deluded love, infatuation. In every loving relation, there is always two aspects. One, love becomes kind of a more moha aspect. You don't, for example, a mother wouldn't let a child who is growing up to go into school or go into a college because she loves the child. Then it is called moha, because it is not real love. This simple illustration you can understand more in all human relations. The moha aspect must be curbed. Prem aspect must be allowed to flourish. If that becomes your focus, you create for yourself a wonderful future. Nirmohatve nishchalatatvam. If moha does not blur your vision, your intellect becomes exceedingly bright. You have a revelation. I am. I am in the hands of God. I am a ray of God. Intrinsically, there is no difference. I am that. Nishchala tattve jivan mukti. Once you have discovered that nishchala tattva, something that is ever present, eternal, then you have attained the liberation. So do not be duskritina, going to negative process, led by mala, vikshepa, mala, gross impurity, vikshepa, a lot of distractions, They become a Sukritina. These Sukritina people, they tend to, those who are moving in a positive way, they become involved in either the secondary type of bhakti devotion or the primary type. That again, automatically, if they have started with secondary, it will lead them to primary. The goal for you is your life should be asakti rahit. Asakti is attachment, no attachment. Bandhan rahit. There should be no bondage. There are triple bonds that bind everyone, called pashas. Triple is you are karmic, bonded by karma with the physical body. You are bonded with the subtle body through your subtle desires. You are bonded with causal body due to ignorance. Avidya, kama and karma, they are called three granthis, knots of the heart. Turn the knots to real knots. That's N-O-T-S. Bandhan rahit. Vikar rahit. Free of vikaras of the mind. Anger, greed. Ahamkar rahit. Free of egoism. All this implies you have developed love of God. Sahaja prem. Sahaj is spontaneous. You don't have to remind yourself. Have I done my prayer? Have I read the Gita? Have I done all that? I'm not underestimating all that. All this is needed until you get to that. When there is profound devotion, it is spontaneous, constantly, just like you love yourself. You don't have to remember and do any discipline with your mind, thinking about I am the toes, I am the fingers, I am the nose, and so forth. It's spontaneous. A mother has spontaneity of love for the child. Much in the same manner, the love for God becomes spontaneous. Rather, you realize there is nothing more spontaneous than loving God. And with this we can go to Om Shanti.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of spiritual growth. It's an honor to learn from the wisdom of Swami Jyotirmayananda. As we part for now, remember, the quest does not end. Take time to reflect on today's insights and integrate them into your life. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, stay present. The light within you is always shining.